All right. Welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. I am Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko.
That was a good pause.
Yeah, I wanted to give very obvious that Dave is not available this evening.
Well, there is a black space in between us, both figuratively and physically on our video feed here. Dave's dealing with some stuff.
He sure is, and here I am. I got all dolled up for him, especially wearing my favorite team, Newcastle United, as we've discussed at length on the podcast.
So many times.
Yeah, and can't even be here tonight because he's got to deal with a pet emergency. So we're sad that he's not here, but the show must go on. And he said so much to us earlier. So
he did. He did. We offered to move it. He said, I got to coach basketball.
I know.
Whatever.
He's committed to sports, and everybody knows that. He's committed to his family, and he's committed to this podcast, and it's sad that he's not here. But, yeah, we get it. So let's really, really I want to make fun of him a lot while he's not here. I'm sure you do, too. It started with my attire, and it can go on through what we have to talk about for game week 11?
Game week 11.
Game week 11. Gee whiz. Game week 11.
Time flies.
Sure does. Man, what a weird week. I'm not even going to repeat the line that was so often repeated on FPL social media spaces. It was just, all I could say is for game week 11, Christmas came early. Travis, was it a fun game week for you or the funnest game week for you?
Somewhere in between those.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Funner. Funnest.
What did the FPL average get to? Before Spurs-Chelsea, it was 27 points. Is it 28 points now?
I think it did go up to something like 28 points.
Oh, great. So fun. Yeah, it was not great for anybody.
Oh, it went down.
Really?
I think it went down. Oh, no, it didn't. 32. No.
Oh,
I just
32.
32. That's
so
not terrible.
High. That's like that's.
It was up to 28 after Sunday, and then now it's up to 32. Points have posted. Everyone's doing great.
Well, it was bad. There was lots of things. Let's go game by game.
All right.
You pick where to start this time. You can start top of the table if you want, or if you want to start with the biggest drama. Where do you think would be better to start as far as drama is concerned?
Isn't it the same at this point? Because technically Spurs entered this game week top of the table, and that was a pretty dramatic match today.
Yeah. Do you want to put me into that position to start with Spurs?
That's what you always want. Let's go to Spurs 1, Chelsea 4.
Yeah.
Happened today. It's still fresh. A lot to unpack on this one. So the key component here was 9 VAR checks. A lot of standing around. Postecoglou says he very clearly stated that he would much rather be playing football than standing around waiting for VAR decisions to come through.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that. Definitely match announcers were talking about that for sure here for NBC Sports. And yeah, it was it's one of the weirdest, I don't know what takeaway there is from a game like this.
Chelsea struggled against 9 men until the very end.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the obvious outcomes are how it affects, we've talked about it for 2 weeks. Son and Madison, obviously popular choices for midfield. Spurs defense and Vicario, obviously popular choices in the last several weeks for defense and goalkeeper.
For sure.
And I think, so at risk of putting myself back into the Spurs bucket here at the beginning, let's talk about Spurs. The Van de Ven injury to me is the most significant thing. I feel like we said it even a couple weeks ago whenever Romero was a highly sought after defensive choice. he's a head case.
Yeah.
We've known that. Everyone has seen that. When he's not a head case, like Messi said, he's the best center back in the world. He was not the best center back in the world whenever he's kicking people's legs. So
on purpose.
Yeah.
And not, having calls made against him.
Right. So that part of it, like, he's prone to those kind of like weird lashings out. The red card was deserved, but I guess that's one of those moments where you see him clear the ball. I know everybody, and they talked about it at length. It's just reckless. He already should have been off probably for what he had done earlier.
At least
anyway.
had a yellow, yeah.
All things considered, it's a fair
Probably.
result.
Took a long time for them to figure that out, though.
Yeah. So the fact that he's going to be on a red, there's no way that gets a straight red. There's no way it gets overturned. It's 3 matches now.
If Jones' red doesn't get overturned for something similar with 1 foot, a 2-foot tackle like that, and I said 2 foot is maybe a little harsh, but it was definitely more forceful for sure.
So the obvious problem is 3 matches out. I mean, that includes in 3 matches at Manchester City. The next 2, you think they can probably manage. They're at Wolves, home against Aston Villa. You don't like playing Aston Villa without Christian Romero. If that was only Romero that was out. Now that's why I'm saying I think the Van de Ven injury is. I mean, I'm sure that we'll get an update before the end of the week, but I mean that was
non-contact. It's muscular for sure, right?
If you saw it, you probably felt it a little bit. I mean, there's no way that a guy falls down like that and has to be helped off, in a way that you don't kind of feel that in your own hamstring. So it's significant. They lose that. I mean, that's a ton of speed.
Yeah,
and
he's been covering up a lot of their failings because he's been able to recover so rapidly. Yeah.
So next week, you probably take it. You're not buying a Spurs defender. So Eric Dyer comes in and plays admirably. Ben Davis was not. I don't think he was. I didn't see him on the bench, but he was already kind of. He was an iffy. It was iffy. It's not like he's a long-term absence. So my guess is it's those 2. As long as if Davis is fit, it's Ben Davis and Dyer. I would imagine since they both played in that position. So the minimum you're getting experience coming back in. Udogi's red. It's a 1-match suspension. So whatever. If you had him, it's sad. That's it. It was just idiotic.
You held him. That was the other part.
You're right. I had him a couple weeks ago, got rid of him. So Emerson Royal can cover that mostly. He has.
Yeah.
And Pedro Porro is, unless something weird happens, at least Porro stays out there. And Vicario has been very good. I don't think there's anything. You're not going to any of these people now.
From a defensive standpoint, no, there's no way.
The second thing is how bad. Finding out how bad. To me, the Madison injury is significant only in that, that you don't want him to be injured. Obviously, you're losing a ton of creativity. And I just imagine, given the circumstances at the time, regardless of whether or not he wanted to continue or not, tactically it had to be made. And obviously that's, they're just protecting the asset, I think, at that point. So I wouldn't be moving him quickly. I mean, I would want to wait. I'm sure player movement and price changes and stuff like that are going to happen pretty quickly, I think, this week, given the performances everywhere else.
For sure.
And Madison is an easy sacrifice, I think, especially given the prevalence and the performances of other people right in that price range. If you have James do you have James Madison?
I do not.
I do have James Madison.
He's at 39.5% ownership as of right now.
It's significant. Dave has Madison. I keep wanting to say Alexander Madison, and I know that because that's football, and also there's part of me that is thinking Alexander Hamilton because I watched Hamilton again for like the 3rd time or something like that here the other night. So whatever, it's kind of Alexander's. I have Alexander on the brain. Dave's got the same problem. He's calling it, he's just saying he has no idea what to do this week. Like a lot of people, you have multiple triangles that are popping up, and Madison being one of them is not going to be helpful for anybody. Assuming if you have the money, given the schedule, you're selling Madison for someone like Saka?
Probably.
I do. This is what sucks about Dave not being here. I have specific Arsenal questions for Dave, and a huge one I think is about Arsenal and what to do with some of their, what to do with their people. I feel like Burnley at home
still a good matchup.
Still is as good of a matchup as there is.
Yeah.
But are you like Bruno Fernandes? Did that goal do anything for you?
No, I mean it's in the stoppage time. I think so. As far as I'm concerned, it's just they're still a mess, and there's even more drama now coming out with Rashford since the game has even been over.
Yeah.
So I'm not touching those assets until they start performing regularly, and he's not.
We can talk about more when we get to that match, but they did celebrate convincingly when they scored.
Sure.
And Bruno has had a couple good returns, and they play Luton at home. So that's the other part. So that's the other part of it. Like, how spirited are Luton going to be at Old Trafford? I mean, I guess that's just
a hard place to go.
Right. So whatever. I think it's not an insane choice. And I just think all of the depending on what else you're trying to do, I think any of the lower price assets, if you're, Mbuemo, another return for him this week.
Sure.
We talk about Doku, I guess, whenever it comes around to Manchester City. Matoma, that was another one I think we talked about last week as somebody just because of the fixtures for them. And then like Diaby, I feel like, we more about Aston Villa to come, but there
are other options. You're suggesting a move from Madison because there are other options.
Yeah, I'm saying that I think if it turns out tomorrow that it's like, no, he's totally fine, we were just being cautious, he's probably a hold. I mean, I feel like I would want to move somebody else other than Madison if I had to. I don't think that's the thing. I just don't think defensively. Yes, it was great for Romero and Van de Ven together. I don't know that it's enough to say, you got to get rid of Madison for sure. I still expect them to do similar things. They just might be more defensively suspect. So anyway,
there's likely to be the inevitable exodus from him anyways, as there was the last time he was, quote, injured, and then he came back anyways.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about price decreases, that's possibly something to think about. The other part of it is too, though, if the price has gone up since you've owned him, it may come back down. You may not have to take as big of a hit
for
on
me,
it, so.
For me, I got him he's 8.1. I got him, I would sell him for 7.9. So I mean that's a pretty. I mean, I got him. I think that means I got him at 7.5. I think I got him at his base price. I think that's what. I think that's where the math is on that. It's 0.4. Yeah, he's gone up. If he's gone, whatever. Point is, there's some could be some money considerations as usual.
Yeah.
Is that it for them? I mean, not like we need to. Not like anybody wants us to spend more time.
Is he still ownable?
Hey, so just attacking wise, like you saw in the first 20 minutes exactly what was about to happen to full strength Chelsea versus Tottenham.
For sure.
And last week I said, like, you got what we wanted to see. What I wanted to see is Brennan Johnson starting.
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson, feeds Son for as marginal an offside goal as there's going to be.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Son almost got another goal later, just didn't connect.
Almost.
I mean, just had chances even down 2 men. I'm not worried even the slightest bit about Heung-min Son.
Yeah, from an attacking standpoint, I definitely agree with that. Kulusevski is also injured, I believe.
Well, my assumption was they took him off that was tactical.
Okay.
So unless there's some other report that was out there, I just thought that they took him off. We've said it a lot, like how important he is going forward and what he's done going forward. He's a bit like there's Soboslai. It's just been involved in a lot, but
Sure.
but not a lot of FPL output.
Hey, I tell you, he looked more dangerous in this match than he has in any match that I've seen him before. Really driving into the box and deciding to shoot.
So much of the VAR and the player on the pitch outcome, I feel like it has way more to do, like, in the end, with what happened with Arsenal and Newcastle. So I just want to kind of save that bit of it for later. Is that all for Tottenham for you?
Yeah. Chelsea assets are still dicey at best, so I say even though Jackson scores a hat trick,
finally paid off. Nicholas Jackson.
How many people own him?
4.2%. Not since Jamie Vardy's hat trick against Southampton in Leicester's 9-0 defeat of them in 2019 has a hat trick had less to do with the actual content of a match than this hat trick.
Yeah, it was unnecessary.
He had one shot. He had one shot by halftime. He finishes with 6 shots at the final whistle. So just what happened. Cole Palmer is it. That there is Cole Palmer and there is no other consideration. Yeah. He got you what you were already hoping for, which is a penalty kick. Then he gets you an assist when the game is way out of hand. So
yeah.
My instinct was to say the assist was nothing because it happened so late. It was the last goal.
Sure.
But so for the season, Cole Palmer has created 13 chances. Not great. Philip Billing has created 12 just for a comparison. But since Cole Palmer's run of starts in game week 7, he's created 9 chances, which is tied for 7th best among midfielders. And to be more fair to Cole Palmer, since game week 7, he's created 4 big chances, which is the most of any midfielder, and tied with Kieran Trippier for the most of anyone overall since game week 7. Just wanted to throw that out there. Cole Palmer, to me, is first of all, he's still 5-0. I'm surprised to not see him in the in the top 5 transfers in for the week. I'm sure it's going to change before the end of the week.
Probably.
But he's still 5-0. That's only going to be true for probably 1 or 2 more days. It didn't go up tonight, but he's going to go up by the time you hear this. You're probably going to have to make the move quickly if you want to get him for his base price.
All right.
So.
All right. I like that. All right. Very good. Let's go to Fulham, Manchester United. You mentioned Fernandez.
I love that. That's my favorite, underwhelming transition.
It's just let's get him out of the way.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a boring match. There was nothing interesting that was going on. I mean, obviously a lot of yellow cards, but beyond that, it was just.
Yeah, I mean, did you like Eric Ten Hag finally getting a result here? Does that make you? Is there any feel good?
I don't. For you? There's nothing that makes me feel good about anything good happening to United.
All it took was for Marcus Rashford to get disciplined for going to his own birthday party after they lost to the Manchester Derby, and then also getting a heavy knock in training ahead of this match to not even play, for them to get a 1-0 result against one of the worst teams in the Premier League.
They ground out a win, which you got to give them credit for that. It took them to stoppage time to do it. I just don't get it. Yes, it's away from home, but at the same time, this isn't a team that is notoriously difficult to break down, right? They're not. Yep. They're not parking the bus. They're playing fairly expansive. You got to do better than this. I'm glad they did something with it. A 0-0 draw would have been pretty bad for Ten Hag.
Yeah.
So the fact that Bruno Fernandes comes through bodes well for him specifically, but also because they get the points, bodes well for Ten Hag, who you've got to think is under fire a little bit at this point.
For sure. Paulinho with the only actual big chance to score in the match. Willian took 5 shots for Fulham, which is one of the highest totals of anybody in the week. But please tell me if you can find it in your heart to care about anything related to Fulham. I don't
Not
think
at all.
you do. Are you? I mean, but really,
maybe burn Leno, but
true. For Manchester United, seriously though, Luton at home against Luton, at Everton in the next 2 matches, and then whatever afterwards. Bruno's 8.3. He's down to 13.1% selected. He's had a goal and an assist in the last 3 matches. You didn't expect anything from any Manchester United asset against Manchester City anyway, but like it is too decent. Like, and I would just say like, I don't think there was anything fake about their celebration at the end. It really felt like there was like they really were.
A relief.
Yeah, there was such a relief about it. It almost makes me believe that Ten Hag is right about the team kind of still being together. Like they're still in it, I suppose.
They don't have a choice, do they?
I don't know.
I mean, in a team that large, like a big club like that, you don't have a choice. You perform or you're gone.
Yeah,
they're either going to get isolated and do their own thing and wait for a transfer or wait for everybody to leave.
And he's supposed to be the captain, so I do. You kind of want him to be, I don't know, fired up. Harry Maguire. I saw plenty of people talking about wanting to think about considering bringing him in. He has only 4.2, 4th straight start for Slabhead. He got an assist against Brentford and a clean sheet and 1 bonus point in this game against Fulham. So,
it only took a concussion for that to happen.
It's not the craziest center. I think there's other cheaper places I would go than him or around the same price.
Yeah, not
Jamal Lascelles is who I'm thinking of off the top
George
of my
Baldock,
head.
Maybe.
Dallo gets 3 bonus points. He gets the full bonus points against Brentford. He gets a bonus point here along with his clean sheet. So Dallo, I mean, if you brought in him for some reason, to me he's still too expensive, but he did get you something here. And I know he said Scott McNominay, no, don't bring him in.
Right.
People do that all the time. You know how they fit yes and no into their
you just want to fit in.
But this is 3rd straight start for his thickness. Now that's his formal title. He did have a goal ruled out this week.
He did.
So it was almost immediate. That changes things probably
last week
a little bit.
And last week as well. So a couple of them.
5 shots in the last 3 matches. 5 shots, 3 of them on target, 4 shots in the box. He actually has a higher XG in the last 3 matches than Bruno Fernandes does. So he's 4.8, and that's the only reason why I bring him up is because that's real cheap.
Is he going to keep playing?
I think he will, and it seems like it was already he had the performance in other matches. And it was a bit of like, hey, we're going to reward you for your, for your consistency here. And so now he's been getting it. I guess just as an enabler consideration, that's the only thing. So really it's like, how lucky and brave do you feel in your selection?
Not.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Me neither, for the record. However, I feel like it's worth bringing up.
Stay chronological. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2.
Hey,
nothing crazy here.
Finally, my favorite time of the week, getting to talk about
Eze not being on the field.
No, Eze played.
How many minutes?
He played 32 minutes, and he got an assist in his 32 minutes.
I know. I see that here. I put it on the screen.
Oh, that's good. Blow it up a little bit. See if you can make it pulsate.
I could, but it's not worth it.
Set it to.
But who did he?
Set it to One More Time by Daft Punk and just let that keep going.
Who did he have the assist for?
Tyrick Mitchell.
Who is definitely ownable.
Who's now on my team.
I made that transfer as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to do that.
I made that transfer as well.
First of all, you can only guess the level of tingling I experienced when Grampy Roy said that both Eze and Elise would likely be back before the international break. So that's the first thing. He already said last week that Eze was closer. Eze made the team. Or he actually made the field. Played 32 minutes, so that's fantastic. I would just like this to be the reminder time. despite missing 3 game weeks and only playing 32 minutes on Saturday, Eze is still tied for 6th for shots among midfielders, tied with James Madison, 27 shots for the season. He's tied for 10th in chances created among midfielders still, and he's still second most for all players in successful dribbles. So take-ons is still Eze's category. I think it's only Cunha from Wolves that's ahead of him. But most importantly, and this applies to all Crystal Palace, is the reason why they're going to be as heavily transferred in as they are, the schedule.
Yeah.
It's Everton, Luton, and West Ham away, and then back home against Bournemouth. I mean, that's as nice as you can get for 4 matches. I saw somebody say it like it's just a short term. Like after Bournemouth, their schedule, takes another harsh turn, kind of bad again. I mean, I guess. I just feel like with Eze, now it's as discounted as you can possibly get him. Unless something else weird happened. But still, like, it's 4 really good matches. He is there. I mean, like you saw the drop off offensively for them whenever he's out by himself. Now, if they're going to have both of their best attacking players back, yeah, I would feel even more bullish about them just because they were so consistent and tight and good when Eze was there by himself. I'm thinking of 1-0 and within a penalty claim for Eze against Arsenal real early on. So I would be more confident about them if they have even more attack.
Defense is solid too. That's been a cornerstone. Johnstone is performing quite well, even if he's just flopping around, stopping everything, and getting credit for saves.
And no competition at all, like we talked about that a few weeks ago. So it's his job alone.
Yeah.
Joint top scoring goalkeeper with Allison as of this game week. So and would you really spend $1 more for Allison over Sam Johnston? Why in the world would you do that?
The likelihood of a clean sheet is probably higher with Crystal Palace.
I got a number for that if you want to.
Let's hear it.
It's a segment we like to call Crystal Palace defensive numbers. Palace is still creative. They are top 10 for XG against, which is they're 10th in XG against goals from open play.
Right.
They're 4th best defensively from set pieces.
Interesting.
So this week you see it. I mean, clean sheet for all your Eagles. Tyreek Mitchell, I think my feeling is because he's the cheapest and he has recency bias is going to blow him up.
Yeah, and he's the furthest forward. So
an odd goal, and that's the thing. You're not going to you're not counting. You're not buying defenders to score goals. But yeah, I mean, you saw positionally where it was as they putting it perfectly for him to score. And then this week, I think it's a good Again, I don't know how else to say. There's not a lot between Gahey and Joachim Andersen.
I would tend to agree.
Except for, goal threat is goal threat for defenders.
And Andersen is just a bigger forehead.
Right. But this week, you saw it, in a game where it's just straight up stats, they both get you a 5.
Yeah.
So, you like the clean sheet. Of course, you like the points. You want the clean sheet from your defender. But if you're picking between the two, it's still the same. And I would say Tyreek Mitchell's exactly the same too. It's 4.5. Do you really want to spend 5-0 now on Joachim Andersen? Plus he's 21% selected. This is a perfect example. You get the same score not from Mitchell. If you had picked Mitchell, you blew it out of the water. He almost outscored the average by himself this week.
Yeah, Mitchell I think is a good pickup for a differential just because he's only owned by 2.5% of teams at this point, which is pretty amazing. So I think that's reasonable.
And Burnley continues to be a fixture to target on both ends of the pitch. You're happy to start anyone at all against Burnley.
Agreed. Awesome. Let's go to Everton, Brighton Hove. What are you thinking about this matchup, which was interesting enough? Matoma gets the goal off of Ashley Young after dribbling into the box.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Another gutty performance from Everton, ruined by Ashley Young.
Pretty much everything is ruined by him.
Yeah.
At this point.
No one with an XG higher than 0.16 in this game, which is hilarious. Also pretty telling.
Wow.
Tarkowski and Mikolenko led everybody in the match with 3 shots each. Mikolenko, I think your top scoring defender for the game week, I believe.
Probably. He was definitely in the team of the week. Is he ownable? I mean,
well,
he's always there, and he's whipping the balls into the box.
So the last two, he's got 19 points in the last 2 weeks. That includes, a clean sheet, a goal, and 5 bonus points. I think the next 5 for Everton. Look at that weird run, right? They're at Crystal Palace. They're home to Manchester United, at Nottingham Forest, home to Newcastle, home to Chelsea.
There isn't a great matchup there.
No, there's not.
The home to Chelsea's probably the one that they're looking at.
Yeah, none of them are good, but this version of Everton, I feel like, makes all of those teams worse. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, it's a Sean Dyche team. That's exactly what he wants to do. Force them to play their game.
They weren't doing that at the beginning of this season, and now they are doing that. And it's just one of those, who's it going to be? Are you really counting on a clean sheet in any of them? I wouldn't, right? Away to Palace that if it's 0-0, if it's 1-1, to me there's not a lot of offense there. So it just feels like, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored in the last 2 matches, historically here against Crystal Palace. So, that's just one of those, it could, they could do it because they have the capable players. It just feels like this game, I don't want to take a ton away from it either, because we're in kind of this new tired and injured version of Brighton. You know what I mean? So it's it's Everton at home against first 6 game weeks, game weeks 1 to 6, the flying version of Brighton, 18 goals, 106 shots, had created 91 chances, 16 big chances created. Game week 7 through 11, they've scored 6 goals, they've taken 55 shots, they've created 38 chances, 9 of them big chances. And then of course, they win 5 of their first 6. Now they've had 3 draws and 2 losses in their last, since game week 7. So that's the part for I'm not sure what, it's the perennial question is good offense, bad defense, which thing is the thing you want to read the most to into this match.
They've had some injury issues. They're not super deep between the injuries, the number of injuries that they've had, which isn't high, but they've been key injuries, and the European run they're going into. It definitely seems like they're too thin to perform on the long haul. Yeah. That said, Pascal Gross has been useful as well. I don't want to gloss over that too much. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that probably should be on a watch list somewhere if these matches start going his way, because with Solly March out and others struggling, he's finding space, and his scores are pretty decent.
I think there was the question last week, once we knew Solly March was out, it's those guys that were peripheral players that it was whoa, who's it going to be? Is it
Simon Adingra?
Ansu Fati? Is he going to step in? And, actually, it's Ansu Fati who has the highest XG of any Brighton player since game week 7. but
he's just not converting. On a
yeah,
regular
and
basis.
it's Matoma. I mean, even this, like, it's his first return since game week 6, and it's a deflected, it's a FPL assist is what is what it comes down to. He created 0 chances in this match. He took 1 shot. Like, we've talked and it's been kind of like this for Matoma throughout the season. Like, I don't know. You love him at his peak. You love him when Brighton's free flowing and when they're doing their thing, and they're not doing their thing right now. He still manages to get you a return here. He got a bonus point, so he finishes with a 6.
Who else was going to get it?
36% selected for Matoma, and I think it's
high.
Well, I mean, Sheffield, Nottingham
Matchups,
Forest, Chelsea, Brentford, Burnley in their next 5. You could do worse.
It's a pretty good run. The likelihood that, he's going to play. They don't have anybody else they can put in, really.
I mean, like Mikalenko, like, to just wrap it up, I don't think you're doing anything with anyone on Everton, or anyone on Brighton other than Matoma. For Everton, Calvert-Lewin, like, he was I talked about him a couple weeks ago. He's even going into this week kind of kind of one of the just kind of a
statistical.
No, what do they call them whenever it's not an obvious choice? It's a
differential.
Yes, a differential. That's exactly the word. He was a differential in a lot of different places. He's still a massive differential. Tarkowski at 4.4, Mikalenko at 4.3. I mean, they're cheap. That's the only.
With Dan Barron hurt, you're kind of looking for cheap, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I think you stay in that team, but still, it's not
right.
Obviously Everton can do it. I just don't think the matchups are good enough to warrant going to anybody there.
Lewis Dunk had a goal chalked off. Is he ownable?
That was awesome.
The quote was the best goal he'll never score.
Oh, okay.
In his career. It was something else. That was
no. I'm guessing he's 5.
I think so.
I just don't think I would. Yeah, he's 5. I just don't think I want anything to do with them.
All right.
0 clean sheets for Brighton this season.
Is what it is.
And Dunk, he is a goal threat, I suppose.
But you're not going to get anything else from him.
Again, you're not buying him for goals.
Got it. All right, let's move to the most lopsided of matches. Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1. How many goals did Haaland score?
Haaland, is this the weirdest single?
It is weird.
The Haaland versus Salah people, the no Haaland. The Haaland out people had the shortest lived victory party of all time, I would say. Did the Haaland sellers, though, did they factor in this 1-pointer and his injury, of course, in air quotes, and also Salah's blank versus Luton? Did they factor that? I'm sure that factored into the selling plans.
Who knows? As of right now, I think he's one of the most transferred out for this, right now.
Confirmed today in training ahead of the Champions League match against Young Boys. So
they're going to need him.
Truly was a minor knock.
I mean,
to Haaland, he is not. It was.
Did they need him on the field?
They 100% did not.
So clearly it was a protection thing.
Yeah,
made more of it.
Uncomfortable ankle. Let's just sub him off. We're crushing,
Fine.
and we have no concerns that Bournemouth is going to do anything.
So in other words, you're not selling because that's crazy, right?
I'm not selling. I don't know that it's necessarily crazy.
I'm starting to agree because again, yet another week where we have to discuss whether or not you should be spending 14.
Well, you definitely shouldn't be spending a 14 on 1 point. $14 on 1 point. But this is he still managed 3 shots. He still was involved.
Yeah.
Even in the little bit, and I just don't think...
Doesn't he seem a little isolated, though?
Nobody...
he's just kind of,
Yeah, a little bit.
walking around.
But
He'll
nobody...
get a touch here or there, but he's in no man's land by himself.
I mean, not to bring Manchester City Alex into this discussion again, but I mean, he had predicted Doku to be benched this week ahead of the Champions League match.
To be fair, he has done a fantastic job this season.
For sure, and he admitted. So he did two things that he admitted really wrong this week. First of all, it was his lowest prediction percentage. He's only predicted 7 of the 11 starters, which is the least that he had gotten right so far this season. Second, he wrote an extensive thread about why to triple captain Erling Haaland, if anybody saw that.
I did.
And I mean, a lot of people did. I mean, it was 100. I think it was 100,000 some. 100,000 some people.
That's why
triple captained him this week. Like, yeah, you're.
That's why the average was 32 because those people got those extra points.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Villa, Luton, Crystal Palace before Manchester City have their blank in game week 18. I don't think it matters to anybody.
It doesn't.
It's not going to impact your decision to keep or sell if you have him right now. Just feel like it's worth saying the Manchester City fixtures out loud for this. Doku.
You love him.
Yeah, I wish Dave was here to love him with us. 22 points in one game week. That's sure enough to get you a price rise in one night, which is what happened with him. He's still only 3.4% selected. We could call this segment more like Lack Grealish. Is that something we could call it? Like it rhymes with Jack. No. Grealish, who I think that's where if Dave was here, he would definitely have said that.
Foden was more involved.
Well, I just think you get a goal and 4 assists. You know, like this, the stats are out there. Doku's the youngest player ever with 4 assists in a game, in a Premier League game, and the youngest player ever to be involved in 5 goals in a Premier League game. So,
interesting.
You've seen it. You've seen it already. Like at his peak. It was mocked definitely on this podcast about a lot of action, no end result for sure. I just think it's a minutes. How much are minutes going to be an issue?
Yeah,
and that's a good question. I'm guessing
no one knows at this point.
I'm guessing you would like it if he played 89 or 90 minutes like he did in game weeks 5, 7, and 11. You would take it if he played 74 or 75 minutes like he did in game weeks 9 and game week 4. And you would not like it if he played 51 minutes, 22 minutes, or 3 minutes like he did in game weeks 6, 8, and 10.
It's just odd because of how it's spaced out, but that's just Pep Roulette, right? I mean, there's no way to know what's going to happen.
You know what I'll bet? I'll bet a better podcast could give you a breakdown of like who the opponents were and why he was
tactically
used.
Why he was used.
I'll bet a better podcast could give you a better tactical breakdown of that.
All right. Well, I'll find one and I'll link it in our description.
That's why they're better podcasts. Also, if Dave was here, like speaking for Dave, well, he's not here. I can just hear him.
We should have turned the camera on his blank chair.
I can just hear him saying, "Everyone beats up on Bournemouth." Of course, he did great. It was Bournemouth.
Even Raheem Sterling scores against Bournemouth.
I would like to have heard what he said about Phil Foden scoring again, because that I feel like is.
He was very distracted. He was asked in our Slack group for Patreon members, and he didn't have a lot to say.
I'll bet.
Go that way.
He fell down the ball into the net, and that's like the worst thing that that's the worst thing
stretches.
Yeah. And then of course, nothing better than Sinistera and Max Aarons combined 0.2% selected. Sinistera owned by 1,418 total people. Of course, those two combined to wipe out the City clean sheet. Who was benched here? I think Diaz was benched. Gvardiol benched, I think. Kyle Walker not benched again.
Played quite a lot.
Ake and Akanji, I think, also combining to get some defensive points.
Yes, one of them is hurt, though. Went off hurt. Which one was it?
Yeah. To me, I still don't think you're doing anything with the defense. It's Holland in. I don't think Foden's a bad pick. I would
tend to agree.
I don't know why you would. You still have Alvarez?
Never had him.
You don't have Alvarez.
I haven't owned him all season.
And I think that's probably the one again where we're at with Alvarez and what you're doing with someone like him. Because I think that's there now.
The question becomes where are you going?
Right.
Because there isn't a lot of places to go. Because unless you don't own Watkins, I guess you could go from Alvarez to Watkins. But there's so many people that are owning Holland, Alvarez, Watkins. Where do you go from Alvarez?
In this match, Julian Alvarez created 4 chances, 0 big chances, which whatever, but still overall, you feel like he had it's what everyone said. You see 6 goals, you expect the main guys to be involved.
Yeah.
Julian Alvarez, not one of them. And look, it's still like we talked about. The number of returns he's had on the season is still good. It's
3 games.
It's a key piece of the Manchester City attack.
Yeah. You're still waiting for next week to see if he goes 3 game weeks because he's on a 2 and a 2 and then a 9 and a 2.
Yeah.
So I mean he hasn't gone more, 2 weeks like this without a return.
Yeah.
Until now. So if he doesn't give you a return next week, is that the time to sell?
Tim, I mean, we can get to it with Liverpool because there's a million things to ask about that. If it was me in a vacuum, no money, no object, and just if I could have just done it, I easily would have gone from Alvarez to Darwin. I still don't think I still feel like that's a completely the ceiling still feels like higher for.
He has the most
Darwin.
shots in the Premier League right now, I think.
Yeah, he should after this week, but. The only other guy, I'm not gonna do anything with it. It's Bernardo Silva is now. I mean, this is back-to-back really good matches for Bernardo Silva. I think he started the last 4 also, and that's something that, you're playing with fire. I think with someone like Bernardo Silva who can get rotated. However,
he's old enough to where he needs the breaks.
Yeah, and this you see it all the time. It's a little bit different now, because of age. But man, when he's good, he's really good. And this game, he was really good. And it's one of those. It's going to be really tempting. I think the results are going to make it tempting.
For sure.
Look, anytime he cracks the top 20 of transfers in for midfielders, it's something serious. And he just looked awesome this week. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't count on it.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Manchester City at this point?
Nope.
They scored a lot of goals.
They sure did.
All right. Let's go to a wild one. Sheffield Wolves. Sheffield 2, Wolves 1. This was it felt like a fun game.
Yeah, except nice work, Sheffield. You made Fabio Silva cry.
He did cry. I did notice that.
Monsters.
When he gave away the penalty at the end of the match, he was definitely feeling pretty bad for himself.
Wolves defensive asset selectors probably felt really good about things until Cameron Archer's goal.
It was a good little,
which was a fantastic goal.
Good little shot into the side net.
And that's it. Archer's goal was great. That is all that needs to be said about it. He's 4.5. I don't know what else you want from him. He took 2 shots in this game. He has taken 10 shots all season. So has Willy Boley. That's all you need to know. Wolves, it's He Chan. That's it.
Yeah.
Got you an assist. You like that. Just took 1 shot, which was off target in the match. Which do you lean more? Do you see him as still a really good, low owned, low dollar amount asset, at 5.5, or is the non-Neto Wolves too much of a concern for you to make him the guy you bring in?
They don't have to win. He just has to do something. He needs points, right? So are Wolves going to win without Neto? Probably not. This is probably the way that it's going to go. But I do think that they will still make it interesting, and if they're going to be interesting, the only thing that is going to help them to get any kind of offensive returns is Huang, right? He's the only one that's going to do anything. So is he a good low-cost option for that purpose? Probably. Is he a better low-cost option than Cole Palmer? No.
I feel like
I just don't think you're going Huang.
I think in your, like, no matter who you name, every single person you name that's under $7, and you might, depending on what you're trying to do, maybe. Every single person you could name is would you rather have him or Cole Palmer? And Cole Palmer is going to.
That's fair. That's a good shout.
Like, name one guy. There's not one guy that you would say, yeah, he's obviously better than Cole Palmer for that price. That's the
under 7. Yeah,
that's
maybe Embuemo, but
yeah,
that's a stretch.
The other part of it, though, I mean, Wolves tend to play Tottenham tough, no matter what they have over the years here. I mean, almost every match.
Hadn't noticed. Interesting.
Yeah, they always do, and that's been with no matter where Tottenham are in the table, whatever Tottenham, we'll get back down on them, but no, they always play Tottenham tough, and now like this is a shaky, a wide open, like
it was just very, very wide open.
Just
very
to go back to
Ange's
comments at the end of the game, he said it doesn't matter what, we could be down to 5 men, we're still going to have a go at it. Like for him, because people were complaining about the high line, right? Everybody talking about the high line.
I mean, they were on half line,
right?
Like I've seen Liverpool play some high lines. I don't know that I've seen them play that high.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I don't know.
With 9 men too.
This still could be whatever. It's Wolves at home, and they've, I'm looking at the last
a weekend Tottenham.
Let's go the last 6 matches between Spurs and Wolves. This is all players involved, including Harry Kane. Last year, or last March, Wolves 1, Spurs 0. Last August 2022, Spurs 1, Wolves 0.
Yeah.
Last February 2022, Wolves 2, Spurs 0. Like and then before that 2-2, like a 2-2 draw. Spurs 1, Wolves 0 in the Premier League, or in 2021. Like every match is a tightly contested. Like I just think it has tended to be tight. I don't know that there's a lot to expect out of this. Like I don't think you're expecting a ton from Wolves, but I don't think it's the kind of thing where you're like, oh, it's Spurs. Like defensively, they've been very good, but now I think you have to factor in everything that happened to them. I'm saying all of that to say I don't think it's a bad choice to still go to He-Chan.
You're probably not wrong. I don't know if you have him, you probably hold him. I don't think anybody's moving to him though at this point. Cameron Archer again, as you mentioned, 4-5, great third striker option if you're looking to spend money elsewhere. He continues to be. Maybe he'll hit when you bench boost, but not really much else to say on that.
What an amazing bench boost a lot of people could have had. I mean, I had.
There's a lot of points on a lot of people's benches.
Well,
I saw several people who had more points on their bench than their entire starting 11.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, I had 17 between Archer and Kabore, and that's probably I would imagine that's a common pairing.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's great. It's really awesome. I'm not mad about it. I actually really like it. I love seeing that balance and the top to bottom.
You almost sound like you believe that.
Yep.
All right, let's move to Brentford 3, West Ham 2. Jared Bowen scores. Kudus looks like the real deal.
Yeah.
He does tend to burn out in matches, but man, does he come out hot.
Yeah. And another return for Brian Mbeumo. So you got I think Mbeumo and Bowen, you got what you wanted.
Yep.
I would imagine. Assist from Buemo, 5 total points in the match, which incidentally should have been his score last week. Bowen, another away goal. I think I think it's the first player ever to have goals. I mean, it's goals in 6 straight away games. I can't remember if that extended back to last season too, but either way, I think that was a record. He scored in another away game. I was gonna say, Dave, your boy Matthias Jensen, back in the points again with an assist. Is everyone still okay playing just Areola as their goalkeeper? Game weeks 1 to 5, he made 26 saves. He had 24 points in that time. Game week 6 to 11, he's made only 15 saves and has 14 total points. West Ham defensively, they are 8th worst for XG conceded from open play. It's an XG of 13.57 against. They've actually conceded 15 goals, so they are a bit underperforming. But I think that's I think to me it feels like it could be worse because they're actually 3rd worst for XG against from set pieces. They've only conceded 2 from an XG of 5 even. So they could have conceded some more here.
He's 11 points out from the top scoring goalkeepers. To me, that's within touching distance for another 5 or at like a half of 0.5 or 1.5 for someone like Allison. I just don't see the point. Will I rework money to maybe find that 0.5 on a wild card? Probably, but until then, you just ride.
He's not losing his spot. Matt Turner definitely is losing his spot. So, I mean, for anybody like me who has Matt Turner and Areola as their goalkeepers, we can talk about Nottingham Forest later, but it's not happening anymore for Matt Turner. He's 4.3. That's the biggest thing, I think. And then the second biggest thing is the schedule, I think, saves it for West Ham. Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Palace. The next 3, not the scariest, I don't think. And despite how bad it's been, I think all of those green matches that are upcoming, he's still the second most transferred in for goalkeepers this week. As people are moving their goalkeepers around.
Yeah, I mean, just from a price perspective, that's just kind of how it's going to go, right?
Yeah,
starting cheap starting goalkeeper.
Kudus, great goal, and an assist. 2 starts in a row in the league. You like that. He is second. So in the last 2 weeks, he's taken 4 shots, which is second to Bowen. He's been in 11 touches in the box, which is second to Bowen. Bowen has 16. So I don't know. The schedule's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Forest and Burnley as their next 2. It's just amazing.
You saw what he's capable of here, and I know everybody's like super pumped about him. It's like, again, there's no bad to me. Like, tell me who's a bad pick. I like. You can say whatever you want. Like, I know we've already just said like it's Cole Palmer and I think if push comes to shove, you're not doing Kudus into your team. However, like, in this run of matches, for somebody who is this electric,
looking for a punt, for sure.
Again, not crazy.
Not crazy. I'm with you.
Anyone from Brentford other than Mbuemo, seriously?
Probably not. Not at this point.
Even Jensen, you're not doing it.
He's dropped off pretty significantly at this point.
Okay.
He was just really, really hot there for a bit. I mean, I say pretty significantly. He did obviously get an assist in this match, but no, I don't think so. He's probably still ownable, but again, he's 5'4". Why would you not just go with Cole Palmer?
Right. I don't know if anybody's going to pay attention to this, but Nathan Collins, he gets a goal here. Don't look now. He has more points in the last 3 game weeks than he's had in all the other games combined. 22 points for Nathan Collins in the last 3 weeks. if you want to bring him in now ahead of Liverpool and Arsenal, feel free.
It does feel like the Brentford's on the ascendancy. They have a tough couple of matches coming up, so I don't know if that will stay the same, but they certainly look like they're themselves, if you will.
Yeah.
At this point, which is kind of nice.
Mbeumo, I mean, the only thing about Mbeumo, like, he's taking more shots. Like, he took 4 shots in this match. You want Mbeumo taking more shots, I think.
Who else is going to take him? Wissa?
Right. No, that's not happening for him. And but I'm just saying, like, you got a return from him from an assist. Like, he's capable of getting it from just about anywhere. Of course, there's no reason. Why would I even think about it? Why would I have ever put him in my team? Why would I want all those points? There's so many other people to get no points from.
Like Pedro Neto, who's at home watching the matches instead of playing. Let's move on. I really wanted to call Dave for the Newcastle Arsenal, but let's go ahead and switch to Newcastle Arsenal.
All right.
I mean, it was a match. Anthony Gordon is still doing stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it was legal or not is, let's say, debatable.
Yeah. This is where, so I wanted Dave to talk through it. We would be in it for 10 minutes of just feelings. But I just wanted to go through this because we've referenced Team News and Ticks a million times because it's probably the most trustworthy lineup leaker that's out there. And
definitely for Arsenal.
And an Arsenal guy. So he's done this for the last several PGMOL apologies and the statements that have been issued from whatever referee post-match whenever there's been controversy.
Right.
So the official statements that he pulled, you can go find it if you want. Just search him on X, formerly Twitter. There were several statements that he gave. So first of all, the statements were that who was pushed? Who pushed? Gordon. I believe that's probably the statement of he hasn't used his arm as a weapon. It's not nice, but it's no more than a yellow card. So it feels like that could have applied in a variety of situations for Newcastle between Bruno Guimaraes and at the end, kind of Gordon I don't know, riding on top of, was it Gabriel?
Right.
This is where we needed Dave for the Arsenal side of this. Obviously, my allegiance is on me. As far as the ball being out of bounds, the statement was the ball looks out, but we can't possibly give it from that angle. That was the statement.
The shot was weird. I will say that. The only shot that I saw was a weird shot.
And there's angles that people have found out there.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, it's the full circumference, right? So even on the touchline, I think.
Yeah.
So at that stage, even though you can see green in between the line and the base of the ball, because it's a circle, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right. So ultimately, that's not super convincing to me. The thing that bothered me about it, the whole thing, was why wasn't there a better shot?
Yeah.
Like, we already have the goal line technology. Why can't they just like zoom that out or something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then I'm guessing the first statement was probably about Bruno Guimaraes because the second statement was there are 2 hands on Gabriel's back, but we can't be sure it's a push. And then, as far as offside was concerned, there's no conclusive evidence whether Gordon is behind the ball. So basically, it sounds like every statement that Team News and Ticks was able to pull, it culminated in them saying just to stick with the on-field decision. This is where I'm sure Dave can have his thoughts about this when he comes back. But Arteta's obviously made his feelings very public. The team has issued a statement, which seems to be the very most popular thing teams can do these days. So, but I think the hardest point of this, and this is the thing I was going to say about stuff that happened, kind of where it happened with Spurs, what happened with Liverpool. His statement was, it's clear that the standard for refs and VAR this season has been, his word is, disgusting. Okay.
Yeah.
all clubs should be calling for action, but people are too tribal. Liverpool didn't get the backing they deserved, and if that isn't backed as the worst mistake ever, then what chance has anyone else got?
He himself didn't back Liverpool when it happened. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So it drives me absolutely nuts is the total reversal when the shoe's on the other foot.
Right, and that's what he's saying. The replay talk, so he's saying, like, and this is Team News and Tick saying this, the talk of a replay was ridiculous, but it's where the whole league should have come together to call out how farcical the refs and PGMOL have been, but instead, just about everyone said, LOL, F Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, or it's part of the game. Which I think sure, there was probably part of it that had something to do with Liverpool, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to if it doesn't affect you, you don't care that much,
right? And that's why I'm saying, like, so you have in Spurs game today, you have a goal that Raheem Sterling scores because the ball bounced up into his hand.
Yeah.
A goal by letter of the law, again, ruled out correctly. 2 weeks ago, Spurs give up a late goal in where there's a clear handball ahead of and it is not overruled. And that's why even then I said, like, is everybody, where's the outcry for, and it, to me, it's just, it isn't, like you said, and like everyone else seems to feel, until it's affecting the team you support the most, or until it's like, if, to drag Scott Wiebe into this, former FPL America host Scott, just to say, like, there is no consistency here.
Right.
Like, they're going to call it one way one time and one way another time, and until it turns into someone losing a job or until it affects the outcome over the course of the season, then there's going to be some kind of...
It already has affected the outcome of the course of the season. We've already discussed that at length. Frankly, Arsenal probably should have been even on points with City last season. Because of some of the interesting decisions that went against them and against teams that were playing Manchester City.
Yeah.
Where the teams got apologies.
Yeah.
From the PGMOL. So as far as consistency is concerned, that's the least that we should expect. That's the least that we should expect.
I mean, it was years ago now, but when Cardiff was up and it was toward the end of the season, and there was I think it was an obstruction. It was one of those obstructed view things where Cardiff ended a match. I think a match ended in a draw that I think Cardiff was going to win, and it was one of those, like, basically, like, tough. There's nothing we can do about it, and it was like, it's very felt very clear from just about everyone of what the result should have been. Whatever. In that case, Cardiff did get relegated that season. Like that really is.
And then they filed a lawsuit saying that they should be able to stay up, and that,
right. So
yeah, it was a whole thing. Obviously, it went nowhere. But
this is where, too, like, obviously in this match, Bruno Guimaraes looked like I don't know what that was. He was Cristiano Romeroing, or Romero was Guimaraesing. I'm not sure, however you want to say it, but either way, Kai Havertz is the same. It's it was 0-0. It was first half. How is Kai Havertz on the pitch at that point?
It's the result, right? It all goes back to the result of the play. So he goes in scary, but he doesn't he like nicks the guy as opposed to hitting him.
Yeah,
but
Udogie happened,
scary.
But at least in that case there was some contact. Today Udogie gets bailed out because he lunged in recklessly but didn't make any contact whatsoever, and just gets his first yellow. Where Havertz, I mean, it's the thing that normally gets the red card is the slow motion, the still frame, where you actually see foot on ankle or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was the last point for Team News and Ticks was anyone replying to what he had said and said, hey, Havertz should have been sent off too. Or what about when Arsenal benefit from a wrong decision? His point was, you're agreeing with me. PGMOL aren't doing their job. It's not an Arsenal thing. That's kind of his final point. All of that to say, like, this match, I mean, I don't know what you do. There isn't anything. There's such an uproar every week about this, and it almost is match to match. And that's why they were saying today, like, what's the point of having the officials on the field just let VAR let them legislate the match, because that's kind of what everyone ends up doing anyway.
It's either that or you go away from VAR and technology altogether.
For sure.
And just deal with
go back to what you did before.
Where it was part of the game.
You find out afterwards with the images after the match what was right or wrong, whatever.
And let's be honest. I mean, we've all heard or read Brother Matt's opinions about everything. It doesn't matter what you see. You're going to see it your way no matter what, right? Even if you slow it down.
I mean, for sure.
So, we both support the same team, but we often have differing opinions about the same image.
No, I don't believe that.
That too much. So,
to the actual match, do you think Arsenal is missing Odegaard?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. That would be a good question for Dave. Dave still owns Odegaard. I think he started him this week. So I'm assuming that his answer would be yes.
Can I give you an Odegaard number?
Let's hear it.
This might surprise you. So Odegaard's missed 2 games. But all season, Martin Odegaard has created 14 chances. Tied with those big-time chance creators, Raheem Sterling and Dwight McNeil. Jeremy Doku has created 15 chances this season. So, I don't know. I would like to know what it is that I know, because I feel like I've seen it. I like kind of the question of, are they really clicking? Like there still seems to be something off with them. So I don't know. Like I know last week notwithstanding, I don't know how much to read into that. Again, a better podcast may be able to tell you.
Or one with an Arsenal fan on it.
Second, Saka has to have a problem of some kind, right?
Something's going on. I sold him this week.
There has to be something, right?
Something's going on. I don't know what it is, but something's going on. I don't think he's... I don't blame anybody that stayed with him or is moving to him, because he's capable. His matchups are fine. But I moved off of him and moved to Son. Boy, do I regret that after everything that's happened. I mean, I don't really, but I second-guessed it at least after this game week. But bottom line is, yes, something is weird with him, and I'm not sure what to make of it at this point.
0.04 XG in this game. Took just 1 shot. The same as Eddie Nketiah, to be fair. But it's the only shot Saka's had in the last 3 games. So he's got 1 shot in the last 3 games. His total XG for the last 3 games is 0.04. Like, I don't know. I mean, like even at the beginning of the season, like he's getting good returns. I mean, like we already said, his numbers could have been higher because he gave away 2 penalties in one game.
Yeah.
It could have been more for him this season overall, but last few games, supposedly fit, supposedly not, this is the kind of thing, like, I mean, all last season, you just say, like, what happened to Heung-min Son? Like, the guy who's the most clinical, guy's just dropped off so much, only to find out, like, late in the season, hey, the guy needs surgery for his groin, whatever. Anyway,
it certainly feels like it's either a head thing or an injury of some kind, but either way, it is definitely out of character.
The only reason why I ask, too, is because they're playing Burnley at home.
Yeah.
And so part of me wants to say, like, this is the angriest they'll ever be. Is it going to be 40-0? I'm not kidding. Like, will they just, like, score and score until they can't kick the ball anymore, until their legs fall off? Because Vincent Kompany played for Manchester City, and there's some kind of weird, Manchester City demon they want to exercise there. It just feels like this is it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like still feels like it should be good.
The right matchup.
Like on paper, it's still really good. But they're like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to stop anybody from going to Nketiah. I'm still thinking about trying to find a way of, like, this is what I would say is for someone who has Maddison. I have Maddison. I do not have Saka. If like midweek they determine, like, hey, we're going to just hold out Maddison until after the break. Like, yeah, I'm selling. If I have the money, yes, I'm selling Maddison for Saka. Like, I'm going after this matchup. Although, you know who looked awesome Martinelli was the guy again. I mean, he
looks healthy.
Yeah, he looked as good. He looked as good as kind of you can.
Yeah.
Despite Nketiah, but yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they move him central and up front if Nketiah isn't doing it for him. Because and I believe Martinelli has played centrally for them previously in a pinch.
Yeah.
So if he keeps doing what he's doing, he could be in a.
And they do have other issues. I mean, I think I know for sure Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be out for a while again, so you lose some depth there.
Yeah, I don't just depth. Though,
I don't think Trossard is any. I don't think there's any danger there. It really is Trossard fit again?
Right. That's exactly the point because he also could play centrally.
Right.
If
but I don't think. But I don't think he is. I think you're going back to if Odegaard's fit, Odegaard comes back. You're back to normal with Martinelli and Nketiah, Saka across the front with Odegaard.
Agree.
Yeah. So
agree.
Just the last thing for Newcastle. So Anthony Gordon, yeah, like great. He scores a goal. If you went to him before, you feel great about it.
I think he's still a good pickup too. He's getting in the right positions.
Yeah. Only big chance to score of the game. Took 2 shots, whatever, gets you the goal. Made one angry Arsenal fan base, but other than that, picked up a yellow card.
Because he always
it's now
does.
his 6th yellow card. I think he's going to get to 10 before Christmas. I think he can do it. The big issue is that we know for sure Botman is on a no timetable.
He's gone. Yeah, if you're holding him, you got to get rid of him, right? Like there's
absolutely
there's no
as a sell, and then Dan
he
Burn
was supposed to be back this week,
right? But now it's still like this is whether it's a setback or whatever, they are not bringing him. He's not back before the international break, and it doesn't sound like it might not even happen after the international.
Yes,
and Newcastle reporter Craig Hope talked about it too, like the question of. Even when Botman's fit, because of how good Lascelles has been, does Botman come right back into the team? And I think there is some question about that, depending on how Eddie Howe sees it, depending on how it is. Forget everything this podcast said weeks and weeks ago about how bad Lascelles was and how everyone was eager to get Lascelles out of the team. It's not happening. He's been fantastic. And this match, look, he gets a clean sheet, 3 bonus points to go with Trippier's 3 bonus points, so he gets you a 9. He's 4-0.
He's
might be the best value defender in the game right now
but he's more Tyrone Mings than he is,
Sven Botman.
Right.
Than he is Virgil van Dijk.
I almost went there, but he's not great right now. But the issue is that I think he's streaky. Is how he's just kind of always been the guy who would step. I mean, he was the captain for a good little while. He's the guy that runs himself off the pitch and throws himself in front of everything. But his skill level is maybe not quite as his ceiling isn't as high as a guy like Botman.
Yeah, for sure. He's still 4-0, and I think that when it comes down to it, I know for sure
that's a great price for the next couple of weeks for sure. Yeah.
And so when we get to Aston Villa, you have a bunch of all the triangles here piled up, and so depending on what you did with if you still are holding Botman for whatever reason, obvious sell. Dan Burn was a trendy pick to go with all the other Arsenal defenders here recently. Dan Burn subbed at halftime. Now we know because of a back injury, an issue with his lower spine, out definitely for the rest of the calendar year, or what it seems like nearly certainly for the rest of the calendar year. He was replaced at halftime by Tino Livramento. So Livramento's 4.3. Newcastle plays Dortmund in the Champions League. By the time you'll know what the lineup is for that by the time you've heard this. Livramento was the choice of the people to come on for Dan Burn for the rest of this match. Eddie Howe praised him for coming on in a tough situation and doing well. Craig Hope, Newcastle reporter, also has said his general feeling from Newcastle fans is Livramento actually makes their defense better by coming in place of Dan Burn. Okay. The issue is that Lewis Hall is a true left back. obviously coming in from Chelsea and has played well when he has gotten time. Those guys are both so cheap. To me, I don't know what the preference would be here, because I don't know that you're going to get an answer probably before the end of the week. So if you could wait long enough and you want to wait to find out if you get any indication whether it's going to be Lewis Hall or Livramento in there, like that's your like that. I feel like that would be like, I honestly don't know where the recommendation is. Lascelles is 4.0. I feel like that's a good pick.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Livramento is 4.3. I don't think that's a bad pick either. And now
except for you don't know if it's going to be him or Hall.
Right. And that's why I'm saying if you can wait long enough to find out, to me, there might be some value in waiting, given the position and given the team.
All right. Good deal. Anything else we need to talk about on Newcastle Arsenal?
No, I think you're going where you're going. If you've gone to Arsenal, you've gone there confidently. You've got Burnley to look forward to.
Fair. All right, Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 0. Is this the disappointment of the week in terms of games? Like, this stacked up as I tripled up on Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Partially because of this and other matchups.
I still think it's you guys as the disappointment of the week. But
we'll talk about that. But
this is close. Of course this result happens in a week like this, because of course it would. One big chance for Ollie Watkins, another big chance for Zaniolo.
Love saying his name.
I do. Massive possession disparity in favor of Aston Villa. But in the end, 3 shots on target for both teams. And this is like such an anomaly game. Isn't this the first game since Unai Emery took over that Villa didn't score? I think I heard somebody say that.
I didn't hear that.
I think I heard that during the game. Nothing better this week. It kind of perfectly encapsulates the Harry Toffolo from Nottingham Forest, nearly equaling the FPL average for the week by getting 2 assists and a clean sheet against Aston Villa. Just a perfect game, perfect performance.
So you're not buying anybody on Nottingham Forest at this point. I'm guessing you're potentially selling Matt Turner still.
Matt Turner, end of the road, dog. This is Odysseus Vlachodimos' team now. And that was Steve Cooper saying that after the match. Talked to Matt Turner at the beginning of the week. I think this is it sounds like this is a manager letting Matt Turner know this is why we brought this guy in. And thanks for your service. So barring injury, you need to you're probably holding on to him. I don't think there's any. You can take a price drop, whatever. It doesn't think even if you got him at 4.0, he's 4.1 now. Definitely not buying him. And again, no real reason to rush to swap him out unless you're really desperate. But I think the biggest issue is I don't think the schedules does. I don't think it does anything for you. I think the issue is Matty Cash. That's the biggest obvious
shoulder
issue.
Going to keep him out of the lineup.
Also perfect for this game too. A mystery as to exactly what happened. Subbed off at 58 minutes. No update afterward, and no updates of any kind since. He's currently the 3rd most transferred out for defenders. I think that's hasty.
I tend to agree.
Don't you want an answer first?
Yeah, and plus with his price rise, if you got him anywhere near like his early numbers, you gotta hang on to.
They're home to Fulham. Why are you rushing to? Why rush to get him out?
He went up like 4 weeks in a row, so it's just I agree. I think you sit on him.
You want to if you get like it's like everybody heard that it's like a Andrew Robertson.
Yeah, there's hotter fires.
Shoulder issue. That doesn't. There's no indication of that. Why the rush, everybody? It's because Tyrick Mitchell. See, Crystal Palace is doing it.
He's 4-5. Why wouldn't you?
I just would want to know for sure. If you find out that it's something like sell him. sell him for over the international break. His price will probably drop to 5-0 if it's something serious. You get him, if you want to get him back at that point, you can. I just think, look at the other top transfers out for defenders: Estupiñán, Dan Burn, Udogie, and Sven Botman. Those make sense.
Everybody hurt,
right? Of course you're getting rid of those guys,
but they're like orange and red triangles.
Right, Matty Cash. There's nothing concrete. I would wait. Your triple up was Diaby, Watkins, Cash.
Correct.
I'm assuming a good one. I mean, a really good one.
Which worked out great last week.
Sure, this week. I mean, it's not a regression thing. This is just This was a weird match. Luka Dean was my second guy.
Sure.
And yeah, he looked great in this match. Eye test was really good, but got the same points that everybody else did. And then the other issue is Alex Moreno made the bench finally for Aston Villa. It seems like that's only a matter of time until Alex Moreno is playing. Although, what could happen?
What could happen?
If Matty Cash is out, I think Moreno can play either side. So that's something I wonder if they wouldn't figure something out there.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any takers, but on our Slack group for Patreon members, I put something out there, which I know you don't pay attention to it. No one would take my bet.
Why?
My bet was, who wants to bet that Brian will mention Alex Moreno since he made the bench, even if he doesn't get on the field?
I hope he took the over, because I sure did.
No one
man.
would take me on that bet, because we all agreed that this is exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, good, because it matters. It's an actual good player
care
that actually
about
matters.
Alex Moreno.
Yeah, I do care about him. I want to see him back.
He doesn't care about you. Don't worry.
Does Unai Emery care? The answer is yes.
Hopefully.
We will get him.
Hopefully. All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah, of course.
Last match we have not talked about.
Oh, man. You sure you want to do this?
I mean, it was interesting. It was very interesting. It was some of the best flowing football that they played in a while.
Yeah.
It looked awesome. They just couldn't finish to save their lives. I mean, Darwin couldn't finish to save his life. That pass, that headed pass across the face of the goal.
We're sure it was a pass. So what if it wasn't? Doesn't matter to me.
It was a great pass if it was.
Yeah.
A striker like him, as selfish as you expect a striker like him to be, it was probably a misplaced shot. There was enough goal for him to go for it, but the fact that he put it over, I've seen plenty of compilations of sitters missed from close range. That's up there.
Yeah.
It's definitely up there. It's really hard to miss from there.
I was going to say, this, more than maybe any other game yet, this has got to be the quintessential Darwin Nunez game. It has to be, right?
He was great.
Has anyone filled a stat box so thoroughly, yet come away with absolutely nothing like this before? Yeah. I'm not kidding.
It was a full performance. It was just missing what he should have gotten. What was his XG? He had to have been up there.
I like where your head's at. First of all, 9 shots. Easily number 1 this week. So he's
leading the league in shots from what I understand.
Until Nicholas Jackson, which was circumstantial, he had 3 shots on target. So he and Bruno, Darwin and Bruno each had 3 shots on target, which was only bettered by Nicholas Jackson. That was today. Like I said, that was a consequence of idiocy. Is that the title of the pod?
Okay, you got it.
3 big chances for Darwin Nunez to score this week. Until Nicholas Jackson happened, it was number 1. Nicholas Jackson had 4 big chances to score. Again, consequences. Only Doku had more touches in the opposition box than Darwin. So Doku had 12. Darwin had 11. And yes, the answer to your question, 1.33 XG for Darwin Nunez. My guess was it was the highest XG without a goal this season. I was wrong.
Really?
Believe it or not, there was somebody who had a higher XG without scoring a goal this season. Do you know who it was?
Raheem Sterling.
Nope.
I'm not going to guess again. Tell me.
Nicholas Jackson.
Oh, of course.
In game week 4, had an XG of 1.48 without scoring a goal. And
That's when everyone sold him.
Neil Mopay, game week 1, had a 1.32 XG without scoring a goal. But either way, point is, second worst XG of the season without scoring a goal, Darwin Nunez. This is not helping his big chances missed sloppiness.
He just looks so raw and so nearly complete, right? Like even his shots, he's not taking, simple little dinky shots. He's hitting just lasers that are causing the goalkeeper to lay out completely, and they're just getting saved. He's missing ridiculous sitters like he did. Is the
sitter he missed still ascending? I think it's still going up.
It very likely exited the stadium because that thing is tiny.
Salah only / Salah captainers. You feel real bad. He only took 2 shots, but he did create 2 big chances. Of course, including the shot Darwin kicked to the moon. To me, it goes in as an expected assists number of 0.81. I would say it's an XA of 0.99 repeating. I don't know what to really say about Salah except you got ripped off. I don't know what else there is. It's just the weirdest thing. Be honest, by the end of the game, were you rooting for Luton to keep the clean sheet and win 1-0? Oh, okay. You really? Okay.
No.
No feelings
I don't
in there.
have any feelings like that. I just want my team to win.
Okay.
Every match. I was frustrated. I was anxious, but I did not want to lose that match. I was already gearing up to have a bad day. It would have been a much worse day if we would have lost that match. It affects me.
What if you were a neutral? Do you feel like?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, as a neutral. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the Tottenham Chelsea game as a neutral to that. Right, it was just madness and chaos.
Yeah,
I loved that about it. This game was not that, but it really just seemed like waves crashing on rocks, and they just endured. And good for them. Their shape was good. They were in front of everything. They hit a great break off of that corner kick. I just what can you say? They did exactly what they needed to do to get a result, and that's about the best they could have expected or asked for.
Yeah. Soboslai. Just 1 shot, just 1 chance created. Congratulations if you luxury brought him into your team last week. I still don't. I mean, whatever. He to me he's just whatever as an FPL pick, but not crazy, but not anywhere I'd be going, I guess.
The news was Tsimikas not starting.
Yeah,
Gomez starts,
yeah.
And I of course took to Twitter to say, guys, I told you this was going to happen. Why are all these people doing this?
You definitely did. It's the reason why I wanted to know how much of a gift he actually is for FPL.
He didn't play poorly. He just
no. And I was going to say, that's the other thing with him. Now he's not getting benched. Like, you're not getting the bench points for whoever would come in for him because he's going to get whatever minutes at the end,
which
even
for so
if he
many
doesn't
was probably
start.
Doggy, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. It definitely could have been that, or it could have been Kabore who got the assist on the.
He looked fantastic in this match. He really, really did look like he finally clicked into gear and had it figured out. I enjoyed watching him.
Is Tsimikas? This was his benching. Next week, you expect him to start?
Probably. At the end of the day,
first choice. Yes.
Honestly, I don't think there is a first choice right
Okay.
now. I think they're gonna play whoever they need to play. They also have, I think Luke Chambers is the other player that they've got that can play left back. And again, that's the dice you're rolling. Is it going to be Gomez? Is it going to be Chambers? Is it going to be Simicas? Simicas is much more likely to get the start, but he's not a lock. Is the point? He's not a lock, and that's been proven as of
You're
this
going
week.
to him, yes or no?
Negative.
Okay.
Negative.
Uh,
Tarek Mitchell, man.
Last thing, look, I know Trent's expensive, but
He looks really good.
I was gonna say he nearly made it 3 decent scores in
Yeah.
a row.
He looked really good. This is probably the best match I've seen from him all season. He's actually starting to do something useful.
If he had gotten something here, it would have forced a discussion of some kind. 6 chances created this week, which was tied for the most with Andreas Pereira, for whatever that's worth. 2 big chances created, I think, is the bigger thing, which is tied for the most of the week with Mo Salah, just in case you needed to be reminded of what an insane result all of this is. Yeah, like, what price would he have to be, or what amount of times in a row would he have to do something for you to say, yeah, I'll think about it for 7.9?
Yeah, he'd have to be close to Trippier in both price and consistency in order to be a consideration.
You can only be one or the other, right? You'd never in a million years have Trippier and Trent,
No, there's no way.
barring some kind of.
I mean, there's a world in which you could do it, but your team wouldn't be that great.
Yeah.
Or there'd be a lot of punts on there. It'd be a team with a lot of differentials.
Yeah.
And even then, he would be a differential because nobody's picking him up. He's just too expensive.
8.3% seems extremely high.
I
for
agree.
Trent.
I
That's
agree.
a wild percentage.
Still within differential range though. So I don't know. He's not there. I mean, I would love to see him get there because we play better when he plays better. So that'd be great. But he's not on my radar right now.
Does this change anything for you next week against Brentford at home?
From a fantasy perspective, not really. I'm not picking anybody up. Salah's still the guy. Beyond that, I just don't think there's anybody else that can get picked up. The only other player that I would consider bringing in is Diaz, but is he going to play? Is he going to get the minutes? And God forbid something terrible happens with his situation with his father, and then he's out again. I think that right now you could probably, if you really, really want to throw money at a goalkeeper, look at Allison. I personally don't think that's a great plan or strategy. But beyond that, it's Salah, Diaz, and that's about it.
The interesting thing for Brentford and Liverpool, first of all, it's the semi-immovable object here for Brentford. They're the 6th best in away games for shots allowed per game. They've allowed 12.6 shots per game in away matches, which is 6th best, meaning I would say the unstoppable force of Liverpool's offense, which by a good margin is number 1 for shots per game at home.
Especially when Darwin plays.
22.4 shots per game at home for Liverpool so far this season. Brighton is 2nd with 18.7.
Oh, wow.
So the gap is, that's significant, 4 shots per game. My money would be on Liverpool here at home.
If you're going to take a punt on Darwin, this is probably the match to do it. It's not. You're probably not wrong in that.
Great story for Luis Diaz. Jota benched here too. Like, Diaz still like. What would it take for Klopp to lose confidence in Darwin Nunez to where he's not starting? Was this enough?
No, this is not enough. 100% no.
Okay.
This is what he wants to see. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but Klopp gets extremely angry when players are passing the ball around and not shooting. The more shots you get, the happier he is. He is all about his forwards, especially taking as many shots as possible.
Okay.
That is a big thing for him. So the fact that Darwin is shooting as much as he's shooting is only winning him more points with Klopp at this point.
And he didn't do anything where it was like, oh, he was taking all these shots, but he neglected his press, his backtracking responsibilities. He didn't do anything like that in this.
No, and that has been an issue. But honestly, that's mostly in just from a tactical perspective, him actually committing to his assignments. Right?
Did Alexis McAllister get a? Is he suspended? Yellow card suspension?
He is suspended, which honestly is probably a good thing because he has not been impressive the last several weeks.
Okay, so that's not it's not gonna kill you for him to.
It won't. I mean, he's a better player than say Endo, but at the end of the day, I think we have a number of other solutions that may be worth trying right now because it's very clear that the 6 is not McAllister's role. And I am really, really hopeful they spend money in January for a 6 because that is a major weak point in the team that could be performing significantly better if they had a stronger anchor in that 6 role.
I had 2 free transfers this week. I banked a transfer last week. I might still end up taking a -8 this week. I'm kicking it around.
Who are you looking at moving then?
Well, I've already made the one move. I went from Gusto. So Gusto finally out of the Chelsea defense forever. So it was Gusto up to Tyrick Mitchell before his price. I think his price may have gone up tonight while we're sitting here.
Probably.
I did not look. I know he was scheduled for that based on some price predictor websites, including fantasyfootballfix.com. where you get all of the stats that you've heard tonight. Fantasy Football Fix, not just for stats. They also give you price predictions. Check them out, fantasyfootballfix.com.
It is scheduled to go up tonight for Mitchell.
Yeah.
Romero was scheduled to go up too. Oh, fun times. He did go up.
Tyrick Mitchell did go up. He is now 4.6. Yes, you are exactly right. So good. I got in there. Finally, I beat a price rise for somebody who it was weird because we didn't even say it about him last week. He came off early. It looked like he wasn't going to be another soft tissue injury for Crystal Palace, and he wasn't. Played the full 90 this match, obviously.
Yep.
So I feel good about that move. The point is, that's one move down already. Depending on like everybody else, like I said, I've got Matty Cash with a triangle. I am not doing anything with him till I find out something concrete. Same with James Madison. I am not doing anything with James Madison until.
Do you have Burner Botman?
I only have Trippier.
Okay.
So that was I kicked it around. Maybe get rid of him, whatever. But yeah, so like Madison can become somebody. And if it has to be Cole Palmer, I also have Abdoulaye Doucouré still on my team, who I can move. I mean, there's 0.5 to be made there from it's Doucouré is 5.5. Cole Palmer is 5. Like that is Cole Palmer at 5 just seems like such a no-brainer.
A penalty kick taker at 5-0.
He was a no-brainer. It's not like he's all of a sudden a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been an obviously good pick here since he got his run of starts.
I am thinking that's going to be my transfer for next week is Cole Palmer, Diaby for Cole Palmer probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there's money to be made all over the place because of some of these players, which then makes it easier. Like look, like I even thought of it earlier. If you say you find out something's wrong with Matty Cash, Jamal Lascelles is 4.
Yeah.
You make for me that's $1. Yeah. Like being able to move $1 somewhere else is massive.
Sam Johnstone. You can move Ariel or
Matt Turner, right? That's exactly. It's the difference between a goalkeeper of that level of quality, or it's the difference between that's enough money for Madison to Saka, and I think with the money that then there's a little bit of a gap even there. I think to possibly go from Alvarez to Darwin. I mean, it's that kind of like.
And then you'll be on -8 potentially on all those moves because that's actually not a terrible
right. But I guess what I'm saying is I've always I feel like I've done it. I've been able to do it a lot more in the last couple seasons where I don't want to have to move someone unless like I want to move the guys I know I'm either not going to play or the players I know need to be moved. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just about like, oh, I'm committed to this guy. I need an all-season midfielder. I need this guy to just be a fixture in my midfield. I'm never going to move him or whatever. It just doesn't work like that. I just think there are certain times, like now with all of the triangles ahead of an international break, like, hopefully you'll get news by midweek or even by, maybe by Thursday of what really is going on with Cash, what Ange is really thinking about what to do with James Madison. Those are two really highly selected players.
Very much so.
That I'll happily take a hit to move those guys on if I know for sure like they're just going to play it safe. I feel like in that sense they're like easy to get back in a way. So,
yeah, especially if a lot of people bail on them.
Right.
For sure. All right. Well, that's good. Good thoughts.
Was that it? I think that's all the matches,
that's all the
right?
games week. That's all the game weeks. At this point, we do have a couple of things. We have
an updated Mojo table for sure, thanks to League Ben.
Updated Mojo table. Our league table is looking pretty good too. Shin Kiachu stays in first. Dan Mazzio stays in second. Mike Kraft makes a big move with a 46 this week into third. Brett Mollison moves down from third to fourth. And Scott Thick-Tomine, man, you could have made some moves this week. You just needed a couple more points. Stays in fifth.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that Mojo table.
Mojo table, are you ready for this? I love it.
Always ready for this.
Number one stays number one from last week, Manchester City. Number two, moving up, Newcastle friggin' United. Read 'em and weep, Arsenal fans.
You're sure it's not in the shot, but it's nice that you keep mentioning it.
Read it and weep. Can you see it now? If I do this, if I grab like right here on my near my breast. Third, down to third, Spurs. You feel like that's fair?
It's a little high.
Oh, really? You think it's high?
After the tragedy that they just endured, that seems a little high. From a Mojo standpoint, with the injuries and the red cards, that's bad Mojo, man.
Although I guess the stadium Mojo.
Oh yeah, that was
high.
That was probably the loudest I've heard their stadium since they moved.
Come on, credit to Spurs fans. That was awesome.
It was pretty good.
Given what was going on, whatever, people are sour. Arsenal stays in fourth. They're angry.
Yeah,
I feel like should their anger move them up or move them down?
Who even knows? Who even knows?
Also staying where they were, Aston Villa in fifth. Brighton bumps up a spot into sixth. Dave always would read like what the
I don't know what the colors mean.
I know.
I thought you might know. That's why I had you do it.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. Aston Villa stays in fifth. Brighton up to sixth, ahead of jump for your guys. Liverpool falls from third to seventh for the week. Is that fair or too big of a drop?
This is all made up.
It's a nasty loss.
It's not a loss. It's a tie.
No, but I mean, it feels like a loss.
I mean, it would feel a whole lot more like a loss if it was
an actual loss. But you had to salvage a point against Luton.
Yeah,
that's totally. Yeah, that does not help your mojo. Brentford bumps up into eighth spot, passing Chelsea, who bumps up into ninth spot. Crystal Palace bumps up to 10th. It's that kind of messy, that muddy middle there of Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Luton. He bumped Luton all the way up to 12. How about that?
I mean, they're well out of, or they're out of the drop zone at this point. So I think for a newly promoted team with the other newly promoted teams doing so poorly, I think that's fantastic. Good for them. That's probably fair.
Then by the color coding, it's the purple Nurples. West Ham drops to 13th. Everton up again. Everton surging Everton up the mojo table.
Hey.
Everton into 14th. Manchester United to 15th. They are not the bottom of the league in mojo.
Okay. Well, there's other people that are losing games like it's their job, so their mojo is probably significantly lower, I imagine.
Wolves, they are their nurples are purplest. They're in 16th, and then the bottom of the mojo table, Fulham, Burnley, Bournemouth, and Sheffield United. Do you see any hope? Like, Fulham sucks, but they slightly less suck than Burnley, Bournemouth, and Sheffield.
Yeah. Fulham will probably stay up.
Burnley is rough.
Burnley's done, man. Sheffield's probably done, too. I don't know that they're going to be able to turn anything around. Sheffield at least has a season where they... Yeah, anyways, I'll say Burnley's probably done. J.J. Watt's going to be enjoying the championship again.
I don't know about Bournemouth. I feel like they've got some spirit in them. 6-1. I mean, whatever. You lose. No. What team below 10? What team below 10 is expecting to get anything from Manchester City? Nobody. Whatever. Anyway, that's your mojo table. I like it. I don't think I have any qualms with any of those positions.
Good. Well, do you have a last thing for us or no?
No, I don't think so. What moves? I feel like the captain dilemma is a little trickier this week.
Yeah, Holland isn't a lock. Salah isn't a lock.
I know for sure. I can tell you this for 100% certainty. If it's between the two of them, I am 100% captaining Mo Salah.
Salah, yeah.
Home to Brentford versus I don't think Chelsea's good defensively, but at least statistically they are a little better. Like just by sheer numbers, they are a little bit better than Brentford is.
So Holland could be injured, so let's assume he's out of the equation. If not Salah, who?
I think you look at I think the next best matchup is Arsenal home against Burnley.
Angry. So you're going
but
Saka and Kedia, Martinelli.
To me, I would go. I think I would, based on form, I go in Kedia. I don't trust Saka to just all of a sudden in 1 week, like, take a million shots. Like, I don't know. I would feel better about I guess right now the ceiling of Nketiah over Saka.
Interesting. All right.
No, I think the other, I don't know, West Ham's home to Nottingham Forest. I don't think you don't love that. I don't think I would not. Depending on what happens, Spurs and Wolves are the early kickoff on Saturday. So, I think you have some things to Spurs have some things to work out there until you get some final word on Maddison.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on there. Honestly, if you still have him, Bruno Fernandes home against Luton. I mean, Manchester United, can they possibly do something to turn a corner? I don't hate that move. You really want to go buck wild? You could do somebody from Newcastle at Bournemouth. So anybody with Callum Wilson. I wouldn't hate that. Trippier. Honestly, if you want to do something really crazy. And then, I mean, how are people not? Anybody holding all the Aston Villa assets home to Fulham, a bounce back game. Villa's been awesome at home. They've been better at home anyway than they are on the road. But this is after a weird loss to Nottingham Forest.
Agree.
This could be, I don't know, roll the dice. I don't Watkins, Diaby, who cares? I mean, it could be any of those guys against. But you probably go with Watkins, I think, at that point.
I don't think there's anybody else.
But for me, given who I've got, it's going to have to be a compelling reason for it to not to be Mo Salah this week.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one.
Do you have one last thing? Is there one last thing for Travis in this? Okay.
No. My one last thing is trying not to sneeze this entire episode, which I'm not sure I'm going to make it because I'm about to now.
I hate fall seasonal allergies.
Yeah, they got me.
They're not good.
They got me.
Yeah.
On that note, that's going to do it for this
edition of the FPL America podcast. Travis Hoy, good night.